from Supermassive.
Very much so a team fight oriented G2 yesterday with some scrappy components, and Supermassive, they tried to make use of the disorientedness of disoriented. How do you say that, Riv? They were disoriented.
There you go.
That's how English works. They were disoriented, G2, and they tried to make picks. That's what they wanted to do. Get the Morgana in there, the TF, you know, find a straggler, pick him off, and then win the fight. But it turned out into these bigger team fights that G2 ended up winning. But it was a lot closer than it should have been, especially for a team of the caliber of G2 Esports initially going into the tournament compared to what Supermassive was bringing to the table.
Final ban for Supermassive. Graves is going to be what happens.
All right, let's take stock of this. There's 2 tier 1 junglers out. That generally means Kikis will have to insta-lock the Kindred. That does give the Echo over. That's generally what teams go for. With Alistar open, a lot of these teams on this rotation would go Alistar Echo. Yeah. But we've seen that Dumbledore likes these, call him cheesy support, call him pocket picks, call him what you want. He hasn't had the biggest priority on the likes of Alistar just yet. But maybe they realize that they can actually just play the normal game against G2 and be better.
It does kind of make a question, right? Why you play the Thresh if you want to pick, or hook into Morgana we've seen recently. Something. But he still likes to go for those, I'm going to fight like I'm a top laner in these. Braum could be the pickup as well. Lets him get in the fight. They also get that Poppy. It's not going to be a flex this time.
Nope, no flex here. Very surprising, though, to opt into that Poppy. That will likely be then the Echo on the other side, unless Kikis wants to play a different matchup. The Echo Poppy matchup has been played 9 times so far in the tournament. Yeah. Also the most picked top laners, 13 times each, Poppy and that Echo. So matchup we've seen time and time again. But G2, they're going to hide their top laner and see what the rest of the composition brings. Lock in a strong mid laner here with Azir. And then obviously deny that from the enemy team, because Azir is also good into the Kindred, you know, can shove people out of the ulti. Yep. And again, look for something, team fight oriented. Because they will definitely not win 1-3-1 with the Azir. They have a Sivir here for Emperor. Hopefully he can survive laning phase safe as he can. And then GT, they want to group and make plays together as a team.
It's something they have to bring back. They need to find that synergy. Spawn was referencing the vacuum mentality that you had spoken about, and it seems like a lot of teams, even SKT, is falling into that. It's kind of the tournament aura, and if you don't have the shield for it, it takes a bite.
Yeah, when you lose the track of the bigger picture and the map plays, and you don't actually know what your team's next goal is, like what is the objective you're playing for now, a minute from now, 2 minutes from now, then you start playing what's on your screen. Can I kill this guy? Yeah. I don't know if somebody's coming to gank me. Well, let's see what happens. And that is kind of the playing in a vacuum, and hopefully these teams are stepping away from that, because G2's strength overall was aggression in Europe, but it was always with a purpose, it felt like, always with a goal, accelerating the pace of the game, not just random fights all over the map.
Achu back to the Ezreal as well. Least is going to be picked up for Stomaged. Where do they go from here?
That actually looks pretty good for G2 in a normal laning situation already, and even in the lane swap, because Sivir is just super strong in lane swaps.
Yep.
Because he picks up the tempo very much so. So we need to see if the counter pick from Naru here can work. Yesterday he went with a Twisted Fate into the Azir, and they couldn't make enough picks. But again, right now, look at how scrappy this composition is for the Turkey region here. They want to just isolate a target, find it alone. But it's going to be harder in team fights because you have Janna that can reset it. And we've seen Aframu show the power of that Janna pick. In my opinion, he was the main reason CLG beat SKT with that Janna pick.
It can, that's the last moment things. When you feel like you have the execute, you have the kill, you can stop an assassin, it's what throws the fight on tilt. And it's really where you can yo-yo back into your favor. Janna can do that Azir as well with Emperor's Divide, and even the speed the entire team will get out of that Sivir on the hunt. Very big skirmish from both sides that could happen. Hopefully they can find the TF picks on the side of Supermassive.
They definitely need to, because I'm actually a big fan of the composition that G2 have drafted for themselves here. If you look at laning patterns, all 3 lanes should actually be pushing. Echo has dominance over Poppy early. On average has like a 9 CS lead over the Poppy matchup at 10 minutes. Also has control of the wave. Sivir Janna will always outpush an Ezreal Braum. And Azir is kind of the king of pushing in the mid lane. TF can comfortably farm under his tower, but that means Trick can finally play his preferred style again. 3 pushing lanes, weave the jungler in between. He will need to be careful. When you face second at least, you lose. If you find her, you win. So that is the game we'll need to be watching and see what Trick can do today.
Well, it's about that time. We're going to get started on day 4 while the players load onto the Rift. Head over to Twitter and show your support as always. Be sure to tweet at LOL Esports with a hashtag G2win.
Or if you prefer Turkey region, hashtag SUP-win. Sharing the burden of those Twitter votes.
Absolutely.
Get a little heavy.
We'll be sure to update those as we get into game. And as you know, as the Rift goes on, we'll show it before we get into game, the Rift has to be owned. It's head-to-head as we come down to this, and there's no kind of question about it anymore. If you've been watching, you know who has that head-to-head, and this time it's going to be Europe's. G2 Esports owns the Rift. Will they be able to own the game, and will they be able to start the comeback to the position where many thought they would already be
at least
in this tournament?
The fans are still rallying behind them.
Yes.
Locking in those icons in the client. Yeah, I'm excited. I want to see if G2 managed to kind of reset their mentality. It's something Aaron, the coach here, formerly of WE, now EDG, just talked about. It's very important to look at mentality from players because we only see what's on screen, so we have no idea of what's behind, what's going on, how the communication is like. But from my experience as well playing in teams, it is one of the biggest factors because communication breeds communication. If somebody's talking, you are so much more likely to join in and add info. Yeah. But when things start going wrong and you have this democratic shot calling, suddenly nobody's talking. Nobody's asking even, guys, what's the next play? And then everything starts crumbling down. There's
different ways it can fall apart as well. And one of my favorite sayings is silence is chaos. And say, you know, the top laner's getting hit, but the shot caller's still able to make calls. That's perfectly fine. If the shot caller gets hit too much and he starts to get quiet, the whole team gets quiet. And that's where it can really start to open up. Talking about a lot of things that haven't happened yet, let's focus on what will and can happen here in the game.
Ooh, I like what the G2 is doing here. They're going to invade potentially to spot out the lane swap, and if not, they'll find out whether it's a normal laning pattern or not. Generally, range supports want to keep the level 1 as long as you can because they will win the trades. There's no way melee supports can outrade despite an all-in. All-ins never happen anymore. So the longer you spend on level 1, the better for your 2v2. That's why you want to deny melee supports a camp if you can. Let's see if G2 get punished for the face check because they will get spotted on the ward here. So that's good for them already. All the standard lane matchups are going out as well. So technically, G2 Esports should be able to push in all 3 lanes. And then we need to keep our eye on Trick, because he's the person that's died the most this tournament so far. And he is actually such a smart player overall in the European region, but he has not shown it at all in this tournament.
His Kindred play previously was actually quite good, but then tunneled into too much aggression, tunneled into actually losing quite a bit of gold for the team. Yesterday, Kikis, 4-1 on Poppy at 20 minutes. Almost wasn't utilized correctly. G2 isn't finding their stride.
Yeah, G2 slightly over pushing here in the bot lane, looking for trades. Perkz took a couple of cards in the face. And this is what we're talking about just now. Like the amount of dominance you have in the lane here, the trade is always on the side of the 2 range, especially since Janna can amplify the damage for Sivir. Not too much action will happen here because it's so unlikely that somebody dies in this lane, but that's generally the laning pattern.
Easy disengage from both sides once they start to go a little too hard.
Yeah. Nobody's really going to die spell shield as well. So I think we can start looking at some of these other lanes and see what's going on the map and just keep our eyes on the junglers. Like which scuttle crabs are they going to get? How many marks will Trick get? Can he invade? Can he find somebody?
Keeping an eye on those. First one out towards the bot side, so he'll probably go over and scoop that up right quick after his Raptors. You see top lane back and forth. Looks like Kikis is trying to push that in to give Fabulous a little bit of trouble under the turret. Same with mid. We knew Perkz would be pushing in Naru. He's going to be farming that with his wild cards.
Yeah, Trick immediately looking for information. He sees the Wolf Sprite.
Early Wolf Sprite.
Very early, taken recently, so he knows exactly where the enemy jungle is. Look at the pings as well. He's telling Elise is there. Obviously, helps if you spot him in a ward afterwards too. Guys, Elise is here. And this gives Perkz the freedom to do whatever he wants in his lane. This gives Kikis the freedom to play as aggressively as he wants. And G2 now have, plenty of information.
And this is a guy that's been focused over and over again. Teams took to it very fast. That Perkz, for lack of a better word, gets a little tilted when you go at him time after time. Blow his flash and continue to go. So he just needs to play a little bit safer as well. With that, he can play aggressive. Oh, they're walking it in. Very smart by Stomage. Walks it right into Emperor. So the flash goes out. Teleport coming in from Kikis, and it has from Fabulous as well. Emperor is going to go down, and that's 4 summoners blown by the bot lane here. It's super massive. Going to get Fabulous. No, he flashes out of the way. Trick's pulled himself too far forward. Double buff transfer over to Achu in the bot lane.
From bad to worse here. G2 spot the enemy jungler on the ward. He walks in, and Emperor gets cocooned before flashing. Maybe he was respecting Stomach so much that he thought he was going for the Mad Life, and he was going for the Owl Blade by standing still, but the fact that he got hit by that cocoon was absolutely destructive for G2, and then they try to chase the loss. The
so much patience in this
fallacy.
game.
Look at it. No more spell shield. Stomach is going to flash over cocoon, and Emperor heals. He doesn't flash.
He thought he would outrun the cocoon, but walked into it actually.
Or he thought so much would go for the Mad Life, predict the flash overall. Doesn't really matter. Stomach gets the play, and here, this is even worse. Emperor dying is understandable, but Trick chasing the loss, re-engaging, trying to make up for their mistake already, immediately after the play. That is exactly what has been setting G2 back in this tournament. They're not composed. They're not keeping track of things. They just, oh, something went wrong. We have to make it up right now or we lose the game. And it makes it even worse.
That's true. They've just put themselves in an even worse situation trying to make it better. The CS is actually quite even because everyone left the lanes even, but you'll see that start to amount in the side of Supermassive. Now they're going to be items up coming into this. Kikis comes back with a seal. Trick trying to pick up his stacks.
And we talked about it, how much information. They pinged him at Wolves. They pinged him at Grump. They knew exactly where Stomach was on the map. They saw him on a ward walking in, and G2 Esports still died, lost 1 teleport and 2 members. Then you have to question the overall view, the shot calling, because that's not supposed to happen. Like, what's going to happen when you don't see him coming? Like, 3 people going to die? 5?
Taking a breather now. Stomaged feeling very good. Stomaged, I should say, very good about his last gank. Can now go ferociously into the jungle and start to toy here with Trick. So put him farther and farther behind, and that's going to hurt the rest of the team as well.
Yeah, that we do have to give credit, massive credit to Supermassive here. Coming into a tournament with regional champions.
Around the road. Yeah, go ahead.
Not being afraid to just make these plays, going in perks.
Oh, just a tad off. Naru took the steps necessary to make that happen. Now Stomage knows he could probably go a mid lane to get something crazy, coming back with an ult down. A lot of things going slightly wrong for G2. They're going to be real big quick.
Yeah, we're wondering, you know, is their mental going to be fixed? Well, turns out if it was, it may just be broken again. Stomage heading to the bot lane, looking for another play here. Supermassive, they always manage to find these plays in every one of these games. They can't always close it out, but they're willing to fight their way out. And that seems to be the deal of the tournament.
They have a weakness at quickly adapting to anybody that's got a lead on them. But if they do have a lead, right, they go back to the batting order, they continue to fight, and they press that lead until they know they have something where they can make a bigger move, objective, inhibitor, and they're safely doing it. With the double teleports here and already being up, that could happen a lot sooner than later.
Yeah, it feels like Supermassive style is a dynamic queue, 5-man dynamic queue, but a little more refined, you know? A little more communication, actual teleports, a little less flame in chat.
They have comms.
Yeah, they have comms.
That's comms. Coming up very big. They trust each other as well. There's always that. Everybody going in on a bad call or hesitating on a good call.
And look how this lane has shifted from a completely winning lane here. Look at that trade, though. That actually takes in so many minions.
Oh,
Hybrid shielded himself.
Gachu was eating them. What? Gachu goes down. Great throw by Emperor, and for them to actually see that was going to easily turn in their favor, an error here by the Supermassive bot lane.
He died with a heal up. He's dashed in with no flash up, playing as Janus Sivir, who still has heal themselves. Hybrid even shielded himself. There was no exhaust used whatsoever.
That's that one moment when you kind of just put to the wayside the 400+ games you played on against a champion or even on that server, and you say, oh, that boomerang doesn't have range. But it does. And then you don't make that mistake again.
Yeah, they over-chased it. Hybrid did 400 damage in that exchange as opposed to Emperor 700, so they're actually pretty close. But the minions, they are the true MVP.
There's like 150 damage from the minions.
That is actually the biggest thing about bot lane trading. If you want to prove out there, just click on that minion, especially the cannon minion, read how much damage that does, and then start respecting it.
They're saying, even CLG said, Supermassive, one of the really strong bot lanes here in this tournament. Kind of showing a bit of hesitation there in their gank, and then...
it's a fluke.
The fluke. It's obvious. Obviously. So 6 for Emperor, level 5 still in the bot lane, but it is for Dumble Doge, so he can ult to disengage. We might see G2 start to make a few moves towards an objective. And Perks is looking to open up the map by dropping mid-turret. Hopefully he can keep Naru here long enough to not TP or use that gate.
Yeah, that was a teleport down to the bot lane from Naru, trying to join that fight. Obviously, allowed Perks to make a big dent in that tower.
Yep.
And now with G2 kind of getting that kill in the bot lane, things have equaled out. And they've made some down payments on that turret. Eventually, they can reap the benefits.
They're prepping it, looking for that return soon. Close. Almost worked out in their favor, even more than they would know. They probably did get an eyesight onto where Trick was, so they have him backing. What will Stomage use this time to do?
Yeah, he's looping around the mid lane. He's going to walk into the minion wave, though. Let's see if he hides around the corner or just... He reveals himself slightly early, so there's no cuckoo path. because he has to walk by the minions, and obviously gives Perks a lot of time to figure out, okay, what am I doing? What is he gonna do? There was Flash available for Stomage, elected not to use it. Obviously, Perks is cleansed, so it's kind of a return deal. Gotta gank him once, then come back to finish it.
Yep. Well, if it was good enough one time, it should work twice, right? That's the whole deal. Summoner's back up here for the bot lane at G2. They're still able to get that kill without having to use them again. So on top of that Cole stack, a BF sword now sits. So Achu's gonna have to be much more careful. Mana Moon in hand for him. It's really even around the lane, 73, 71. Jungler's even as well. It's the kills really that Supermassive has picked up in the bot lane.
Yeah, since there was a little bit of an AD advantage on that Sivir Janna lane, they just elected to have Achu solo farm and put Double Doge in a little bit of a roaming-oriented position. But what is Trig doing this deep in the enemy jungle without laning help?
He's going to pull Kikis over as well. Kikis won't have time, so not enough for him to get in. But yeah, Trick going a little too hard there. No vision in this side of the jungle as well. Or I should say they didn't see anybody. So they got to figure they're either coming over or they're making a gank somewhere else.
Yeah, and this is completely uncharacteristic of what Trick brings in the EU LCS. It's smart invades, supported by vision with a goal, and here is just aimlessly going in. Another teleport plus Destiny.
What's the first target? That's a level 7 Janna. Gonna hold the ultimate just for now. Steadfast Presence is on, but there goes the Howling Gale. Monsoon is out. Now they're on to Naru. Kikis picks ones up for himself, and Fabulous drew himself into the fight, thinking it would be a one for none. He tried to get another one. May go down himself. Fab's out of the fight now, and it was almost Perks going down on the roam, and we are not done yet. Emperor goes down, and now they're on to Kikis. Once again, G2 trying to pull the cavalry in, but Supermassive already there in time. Is Trick the one that makes them go for another initiation on this fight? Naru's up in 4 with teleport still on that mid lane, so they have to be careful. This is absolutely crazy. The picks are happening, and G2 can't get their fight comp there in time.
Everybody is invited to the bot lane party here. It starts off with teleport Destiny, beautiful play, but then hesitation on the side of Supermassive. They wanted to bait out the spell shield, walk up to Emperor, force him to fake it out, but he holds it very well, calm and composed, and then they switch to Hybrid. Let's watch this again. So TP comes down, they want to get Emperor, but obviously he has spell shield, so Naru switches around, but Hybrid is still in a good position to get the ulti out. Kikis has a good teleport, but then he greets. If at this point G2 back off, they have a net win. But they greed for the player, and especially look what Emperor does. As Kikis is backing out, he is chasing the play. So G2 Esports is not in sync. And in the river, there's 2 people that just zone out Perks. Perks is on 10% right now. He left the fight. No communication, no overview. They were in full vision, and G2 Esports elected not to use the information that was given to them yet again.
Little love in that mid lane for Naru here as the bot lane's getting taken down. Whoa, Sand Soldiers move forward. Wolf Bite, not enough though. Just gonna have to get a rabies check real quick. It'll be fine. Naru flash down, still teleport to come back to lane, and that ultimate will soon be up for his Destiny.
All right.
So we got some turrets going down, Crepo. That gold, and now the map to be switched up. 21K to 18.8, so about 21 to 19 right now. Supermassive with a 2K gold lead.
We're losing fights. Let's just play the map. Herald picked up by G2 Esports here. They're looking to start some sieges, group sieges with that Sivir. But Supermassive, again, they make it work. You know, unrelented aggression, seemingly random sometimes, although that was a very good engagement, very well timed. The cadence of their aggression will be matched with the beat of Destiny's cooldown. That's what we'll need to look for. Every time that comes up, where does Naru go? Where is he on the map? Who's he looking for?
It'll be very troublesome once they open up these turrets and they can start doing that from jungle side to jungle side. Teleports as well. Once Supermassive gets some forward wards in, you might see G2 getting caught off guard.
Yeah. Longer lanes, double teleport, and an additional global there. That's exactly what Supermassive want to make use of. Let's keep an eye on if they have any deep lane wards. There is one in the bottom that they used earlier for the fight. Both TP. Oh, there's 1 TP available on Naru. But he's obviously under pressure, though. That's the counter here. G2, they want to lock at least one of those globals in under the tower. And they'll say, well, you're going to leave this lane, it's going to cost you a tower. So it better be worth it.
All right, little 1v1 tussle here in the bot lane. Don't think much will come of it as the majority of members are hanging out in that mid side. Whoa, Perk's gonna get taken down here in mid, and that's the execute from Stomage. They're on to Emperor now. And that was the divide coming out from Perks. Maybe a quick hit on the Cocoon, and that changed their mind, said we need to alt everything.
I mean, where's the cleanse?
Still gets their pick. Yeah, where's the cleanse if it was the Cocoon? We'll have to see it again in the replay, but
Just a cooldown, actually. It's a minor cooldown still left on that cleanse. So we found the cleanse.
Oh.
Now we need to see, where's the perks? Why was he overextending
so he couldn't
again?
use cleanse. Then we'll see it. All right, good eye there, Crepo. Onto the Dragon. Supermassive starting to pick quite a bit up here. Gaining that ground. 17 minutes of last game. G2 was up 2K. Stark difference here. Big lead coming in for Supermassive.
Playing up here. Walks up, gets gold carded, flashes out. No cleanse. That's...
Oh, wow. CC chain.
That is just simply disrespecting. And this is not the first time we've seen this from Perks in this tournament. With cleanse on such a short cooldown. Disrespecting your opponent by walking up and simply flashing too late. While he's selecting the card, you still have the option to flash early and say, like, you know what? I made a mistake. But good follow-up again. Supermassive work very well as a team. Actually need to be careful here. Some poke.
I gotta remember that boomerang. That hurts. He's gonna get over the wall. Double dose should be all right. Very nice for Achu to come back in that stand beside synergy.
TP's coming in.
Oh my gosh, this is these long lanes, the things you can't do. Try to make picks on the pick team. And they can even skirmish better at this point because they have the lead. Lamb's Respite is down, and it looks like they're gonna be able to take this as well.
Complete chaos here on the Rift. Perks, he initially wanted to join this fight because he was so far out of the way. He was still coming back from base. He ran all the way into the enemy jungle, then figured out he was going to lose the fight, returned back to mid lane, picked up the scraps that were left there. A little bit remained on that tower HP. But again, this is G2 Esports initiating a play that they lose out on, and this is just very telling. No overview whatsoever.
Actually have the lead in turrets right now, but are just losing bodies left and right every time they go for something. It's kind of been the story of these games here at MSI. Very, very even, but it's just fights back and forth.
And this is 28 deaths already this tournament for Trick. A player that was so calculated, so meticulous over in the European LCS. Just falling apart at the seams here.
Another one for Supermassive. We just saw this in that top lane engage. Monsoon goes out. Achu's actually going to be taken down. You see him hit in the top side, but they did lose Emperor, so a bit of a retribution kill for his teammate. Now it's going to be Hybrid going down. Hybrid actually did not get that kill. Nicely going over to Kikis, but the cleanup, here it comes. Kikis low on mana. Fabulous over the wall, and he should have the steadfast speed to at least get the connection again. They're going to choose not to, and they're going to say, we have enough of what we want. I think that's actually a good thing to see from a team, is say, let's gain more of what we came for. We don't need that right now.
Trades left and right, bodies dropping everywhere.
Clean up the map, do it again.
Fabulous flashes over the wall, then probably realizes his E is still on cooldown. Switches again here. Achu with red buff engaging, but then the streak coming from the lane here.
Oh, the bait in.
And Double Dodge Shield was kind of going out, so the red buff finishes off Emperor here. Again, this is a 1-for-1 trade, but the bigger mental hit goes to Emperor here, you know, killing your enemy and then dying to red buff. I think we need to start tracking the player cams a little more and see how this affects G2. Because playing on this stage, being already 1-5 against a team that, on paper, you just stomp. Like, this shouldn't even be close. This game should be over by 20-25 minutes if we follow G2's expectations. But clearly, a different team showed up to this tournament.
I mean, in the finals, you would see, you had the Perks on the Blanc almost controlling a game by himself. But teams aren't actually allowing that to happen anymore. They're understanding Perks wants to do that and completely taking control of it. It's almost like they are easily able to play inside the head of G2.
Yeah, because Supermassive just calm and collected here. Well, no, calm and collected is an overstatement. Calm and aggressive. But they're working together because every time they fight, they have beautiful CC layering. Look at every time somebody gets knocked into a wall, the Cocoon follows up, Dumbledore throws out his ultimate. These guys are working like a team. You can question the carry potential on an individual level, but they came here as a team. They have two rotating top laners. One of them's going in.
Glacial Fisher is down. Great target if Dumbledore can get hit up. Stomage getting in range for stand side. Or beside me, I should say, but Perks finally picking up a bit for himself here. The Nashers and the Abyssal is finished, so he should be able to put out some damage. Naru, will he flash over the wall for this? It is up, but he just chooses the wild cards. The team was not confident yet. Fabulous comes in slowly from the bottom side.
Yeah, Fabulous in his game on the Poppy, not Thaldrin. Seemingly random, swapping them in and out, but they both seem okay with it. Thaldrin in an interview said, well, you know what, we're playing 6-man roster, we're a team.
Yeah.
We play whatever strength we need, whatever champion we need, that player plays. No hard feelings. It's good to see that from Supermassive.
Lichbane, Abyssal, Scepter, TF as well. Once they reach these turrets, Achu and TF, or Naru, are just going to crush them down.
Supermassive are still looking to keep the map open though. Use that mobility from the TF.
That's true.
They want a 1-3-1,
true.
use those double teleports, because teleports in fights themselves have no value in terms of combat summoners.
You can't teleport inside a team's base too much. Gotta leave something available.
You just want to make him split, force him to react, say TF is pushing, get perks to match, then leave the fight, make it a numbers advantage, find a flank. This is also something SKT wasn't really doing with their 1-2 run. Yeah, they had 2 teleports, but they were still coming from the front door all the time. They weren't flanking. And the difference, for example, on how valuable a flank can be, just watch Zhao Who's LeBlanc as opposed to Fakers, and you just tell that it's an entirely different champion almost.
Sometimes not even a flank, it's right in your face, right? He just takes you by surprise. But the flanks he does do, even when they're not kills, it's exactly what you need. It's a little added pressure that they find. 20 minutes on that clock. Home guards now assist these teleports and destinies around the map, so you got to be very careful for a fast Fabulous coming in with a hammer. Emperor's going to pick red buff back up, hopefully keep himself a little bit safer in these fights, because he has easily been a target as a Sivir right away.
Yeah, and comparing this game to yesterday, it was G2 with the control, Supermassive fighting back.
Yeah.
But it's kind of the same G2 of the tournament, but a revigorated Supermassive, because Stomage had a really rough game yesterday, walking on a multiple of his own Kindred ultimates and simply dying to a flying hammer, to some minion aggro. But this game, he's been honestly setting the pace. Every time he showed up for a fight, he almost lands a cocoon and generates a kill. 2, 1, and 4 here. Good performance.
Kikis on the bot side, Rift Herald Naru just pushing a turret in the top. And it doesn't look like G2 is really going to get much on this turret. Finally, it does seem like Stomage actually peeled off of this. But then so does G2. Very back and forth odd decisions are being made. The top or bottom turret doesn't initially
Fabulous
go
is
down.
flanking though. He's looking to go in here. Probably waiting for that tower to go down in the mid lane. At least adding some pressure. Still half HP left on that Azir tower.
I see why. I was like, why are they backing off mid turret? So they could actually route them and make G2 feel more comfortable out taking that. Still something that could easily happen. Many wards here from
is low.
Supermassive behind. Trick is right under the turret, taking shots. They're going to go in for the fight. The ultimate from Fabulous. Pushed back by the Emperor's Divide. Nobody really comes up with too much here. Dumbledore has been dropped down, and we're going to get a hold on that. Seeing that action in the fight, somebody didn't feel something right. 2 kills came in for Emperor there, and we will find out what happened. We're 22 minutes into this game, and it has been back and forth. 38,000 to 37.6 right now.
Let's talk a bit about how that play came to be. It was a pause initiated by Stomage. Obviously don't know if he was the one with the issue. Maybe pause for a teammate there.
You can pause for a teammate.
G2 was playing towards their composition strength, which is sieging with 4 members and then leaving your teleport either with you, generally not really done as you're playing with an Echo, on a side lane. Potentially you can join the fight if needed to. And then Supermassive was kind of locked down, so they weren't the ones 1-3-1ing there. They were playing the 4-1 that G2 was playing, and that's why G2 was in the advantage. Because not only can they siege with the poke from Janna, from the Azir soldiers, they have backline protection too, with that turret that can pop up. So Fabulous couldn't flank either. So G2 was really making use of their composition, and eventually desperately trying to defend that tower without a counterplay. Dumbledore got poked down, Stomage got poked down, and it came to a fight that they lost then. Maybe something went wrong. Ulti wasn't pressed, maybe pressed. Need to figure out what that pause was about.
Great pressure on the map. You see that Naru is trying to walk back. He had TP and Destiny up, but it just didn't seem like he'd get there in time. Looking at, these guys are both 1-5, Crepo. We look where these placements in this tournament could actually mean from them. You see Europe, they usually have the 1-1-1, right? First pool, second pool, third.
We're talking about pools
place
for seeding for Worlds.
Right.
So traditionally speaking, Europe has 3 spots at World Finals. One gets seeded into pool, call it Pool A, one in Pool B, one in Pool C. But if Europe does not make top 4, then they will fall into 5th or 6th place, and that will affect those seedings as well, because if they get 5th place, they get 2 seeds in Pool B, 1 in Pool C. If, God forbid, they fall all the way to 6th place, there will only be 1 European team in Pool B, and 2 of them will drop to Pool C. So that will be, for any of these European teams that are going to Worlds, very rough matchups, because these Pool C teams, they come out against the champions of the top 4 regions, and that's going to be rough.
And it's kind of like Europe is almost here to a chance to lose that, because Supermassive,
they have nothing to lose.
Nothing to lose. They have that to gain. They get that spot. They get that 5th spot, and they have now a 2, Pool 2, Pool 3, instead of a 2 in Pool 3.
Yeah.
Or Pool C, if you will.
Yeah, they can go up 1 pool, pretty much.
Right.
So
that's a huge spot. That is a huge spot.
Traditionally, international wildcard teams have came in, as the lowest seeded teams here at the World Finals. But
Right.
if Supermassive can make it to 5th place, well, they go up spot and they get seeded into one pool 2, and that's what they want. You know, as much chances that they get, slightly easier groups, maybe take a couple of games of some other teams, and they've been getting better every year. Because at the start,
There's
everybody's
no
like,
doubt about
everybody's
that.
like
We've
wild
seen
card
that
teams.
result.
It was almost a negative term, but people forget what it means for some of these regions that don't have access to
hope.
that good of a structure, you know, that good of a league, but they're building on it. And the fact that Supermassive here came from the Turkish Champions League, came to play here with the champions of every region and still performed, I think is a feat that we can't just state enough.
Yep, and they're doing it with something that a lot of teams don't do as well, is they can swap out a player while doing that. That 6-man roster, the confidence in switching up that style and being able to play that fluid. Looking now at the pause on the screen, as we said, Stomaged was the pauser, and it is because he felt that he was stuck against the turret at the time and he could not move. So they're reviewing that to see what the instance could have been. They are against the Nazir, so it could have played into some of the case, but we will not guess. We will actually have the answer soon.
Yeah, I'm just going to take a look at my screen here. It does look like he was stuck a little bit next to the tower. He repelled up, and obviously came down, had to flash out. But obviously, we have a team more capable than me handling it. Thank God they can't cast. I'd be out of my job too.
You're so nice, Crepo. Always saying pleasurable things about other people. Looking at the items on the board, still, it says close. I mean, there's the difference in the top lane. We've had Fabulous teleporting out, making a few plays down towards the bot lane, so you'll get some CS to kick us there. But overall, the kills on this pick composition are just flowing in for Supermassive.
But Supermassive sometimes have issues attaching objectives to the kills. Very early in the game, they got a dragon, maybe a tower. And the problem right now is they're not setting up the 1-3-1. And for many people out there, it's kind of being associated with a very boring term. It's very fascinating for me and Martin. We always talk about 1-3-1s, but it basically means that you pressure all 3 lanes and you force, the enemy team to divide. And G2's comp is strength in numbers. They work really well together. But then if they need to split up, obviously they can't play towards their strengths. And if you look at the roster here, combine any of these 2 picks, you know, a TF with an Elise, lock down 1 target, kill him. A Braum with a TF, you know, lock down 1 target and kill him. But then in team fights, they're a little bit squishy. They drop down a little quicker. You have the power of the Janna, for example, who can then reset an entire team fight altogether. And we saw really the power of that in some of CLG's games. And so far, it does seem that those range support may actually make a little bit of a comeback this tournament because it's so centric around team fights in the mid game.
Something that Supermassive definitely trying to avoid. No Zanyas even yet for Naru. So they're like, I want to get in, I want to get out. I don't want any part of this fight other than a gold card. You guys can finish off that target. We'll see what they can continue to do here on the side of G2. It was a push down the mid lane as we wait for confirmation here. 22 minutes in, 6-9.
All right, we just got an update from production.
Yes.
The head referee right now is going to the stage to offer a remake for Supermassive here. So there was a bug identified, and they're going to offer the remake, obviously, to Supermassive. Now, if they like to keep playing, obviously, after the game, they won't be able to go, well, you know what, we'd like that remake now.
Right.
And now,
this is the choice now.
It puts them in a super tough spot, because they obviously don't know what G2 is going to get off the back of this push, because look at Dumbledore, he's low, Stoma just had to flash out, and he's heading back. Obviously, to my knowledge, and I think we can get this confirmed, but I'm like 90% sure this means also new pick and ban, because obviously these teams just revealed this pick, so just and playstyles attached to those picks, so just going back into the same champions can't be done here. So that is a very tough decision to make here for Supermassive, because the gold is almost even. They've made it this far, but they also have struggled in the late game yesterday, because they were pretty much even at points, but they struggled. They couldn't really play the map as well, get many of these big objectives. They kind of tunneled on the Dragons as well against G2 Esports, and that was their downfall.
So they're given 1 minute now to discuss whether they will or will not decide to take the remake. Head ref is on stage right now, and they're deciding this. It was due to Stomage repelling up, as Crepo saw, falling down within the turret range and actually having to flash out of the turret due to that.
Yeah, he did seem a little stuck on my screen as well, so it definitely was something that went wrong. Not much we can do about it now. The only thing that we can influence, or they can influence right now, is the decision that they will make. Seeing some smiles here, though. It's like, yeah, we'll remake. We'll take him. Or we don't remake. We'll take him anyways.
Oh, we don't? Yeah.
Doesn't matter for us.
What is going to happen? So the decision to be very soon made. The referee obviously walking over and discussing it with G2, so there are no worse to wear. They can understand what's going on.
Very stern referee as well. I used to have that referee when I played in North America. Yes, sir. No, sir. Now I work with him.
So it appears that Supermassive have accepted the remake. And I believe we will be going back champions, picks, and bans. And we are going to remake this one. An unfortunate incident.
I mean, always look at the silver lining. This means more League of Legends.
Yeah, you're right. That's fantastic.
More early games, more laning phases, maybe a Bard, who knows?
All right, so now 22 minutes into this one. Unfortunate that we will have to remake, but G2 and Supermassive will be going back to the champion picks and bans. For now, we are going to go ahead and throw it over to the analyst desk with Dash and the guys.
Thank you very much, Riv. Unfortunate, yes, that they will have to remake the game, but this gives us an opportunity to kind of discuss what we saw and what changes we might expect to see going into the remade game. As Riv already mentioned, this does mean new champion pick and ban, so really everything's off the table. But before we get to what they might do, I do want to break down what we just saw, because we did see 22 minutes of game, starting specifically with the fact that Supermassive got into those standard lanes, and we saw a very messy, skirmishy game that seemed to be playing out in their favor in that regard.
Yeah, we're in kind of this weird situation now because we realized it was a very close game coming into it, and you wonder if they're going to be making tweaks beforehand, because early on there were a lot of picks that Supermassive was able to make, especially by snowballing around the bottom lane, which G2 would want to adapt to in the next game they have to play.
The sad thing for me is just watching a G2 lineup who yesterday honestly played better, especially against RNG, had a very, very close game, and we still got to see a lot of individual mistakes. And then in a game like this, it looks even worse, almost. Like, people are dying with summoner spells up, Emperor is randomly pushing forward. In this game, they leave TF open. I think now, actually, we get the remake. You just swap away the Maokai ban, you ban Twisted Fate instead, because as a team, you can't play against it right now.
Yeah, it certainly looks difficult. And also from Supermassive's side, they're like, we had so many opportunities. This game was so close, and then we would make small macro mistakes, or like Naru would burn his ultimate for no reason after someone's already been picked. I mean, they're doing the right thing map-wise and, you know, using their double teleports well to get into the bottom lane, generate some advantage, but they're giving a lot of it back. So this is a hard remake, because I don't think anyone in that game was really like, we were playing well, we're going to win it. I mean, Supermassive were like, we did the hard work, we opened up the map, but now we're kind of fumbling it. G2 are like, we can't even get a clean team fight right now. Like, what is going on? And they both now have to start from scratch. This is a tough situation for both teams.
Absolutely. I mean, that being said, when we do look at G2's composition, we see power picks across the board, right? We see a team fighting
huge team fighting composition. As far as like who I think had the better team comp, I think G2 had the better overall team comp, because most of these games have ended up with brawly team fights, and they had the composition to be able to do that. And it was on Supermassive to execute and snowball the game.
Right. And also, for some reason, we have a G2 lineup saying we have the better team fighting composition. We actually don't have to win the early game, and yet we want to like keep trying to force these random plays, like Trick dies for no reason multiple times. I'm actually just going to say it. I know Emperor is playing poorly, but I think Trick has been the biggest disappointment this entire tournament. He's the MVP back in the EU LCS. He used to be so consistent in the way he was playing, always knowing when to back out of fights.
Trick is the disappointment.
Yeah, Trick, sorry. Yeah, Trick is the disappointment. You know, the biggest disappointment for me, if we look at a player in this tournament. And a game like this, he doesn't need to do anything specific. He literally just needs to farm, and you just need to play standard lanes. But remove Twisted Fate, because he is making you overextend.
And once again, they had all winning lanes. Like, they had pushing lanes. Sure, it is difficult to play pushing lanes versus double teleport if you don't coordinate your push initially. But they got the shove well and truly going and should be able to capitalize. I actually think that Supermassive did the hardest part of that composition that they had, because they actually made the map big somehow against all these pushing lanes. So technically, they should have just been able to separate it all.
Let's look at the first way in which they were able to make the map big. A replay not too long into the game, 2-0 in the bot lane. It was kind of, you know, everyone visited the bot lane, but this is where we saw kind of the ability of Supermassive to play out the standard lanes, arrive with TPs and ultimates, and play it through.
Yeah, and this is where we see like one of the big issues for G2 as a lineup in this tournament is right here, they just don't really know what to do. They're running away, but also then Kikis is TPing in behind. And at this point, you just back away. It's 5 members in the bottom lane from Supermassive.
Trick flashes in.
And look at Trick. These are the kind of plays we never saw from him back in the EU LCS. And these are the kind of plays you don't have to make when you play against a competition who want to try and snowball on you and play this 1-3-1 game, and you just want to scale up to team fights. Because they just invested so many cooldowns, this buys you time to just play these standard lanes and farm up. Instead, all in and loses another kill.
And technically, like, that is bad. Like, you gave up first blood, but 1 kill for Perkz in the mid lane to get 2 waves of farm, start pressuring that mid turret.
Would have been fine.
Is a fine trade. It's not a great trade, don't get me wrong. That's still a good proactive play out of Supermassive. But that should have been okay for G2. But they just compound one of their own errors, which is Emperor not flashing earlier in that replay, and just make a meal of it in the bottom lane.
Yeah, and it really feels like G2, it's a continuation of their problem that they've had throughout this tournament. They're not really able to play that well as a team. They pick a team fight composition to hopefully make it easy, but as soon as they have to make those tricky decisions, it is Trick usually going way too aggressive without the support of the rest of his team. Obviously, that flash forward never would have been good unless, even if everyone flashed forward, but I think that mindset is still kind of go, 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 but because they've had so many things go poorly that it's just not working for them anymore.
The story of the game, was G2 making mistakes or not respecting the ability of Supermassive to arrive at these fights. Again, not only do they have double TP, they also have a TF ultimate. So I think that was kind of the most surprising thing is we expect more out of this G2 roster to understand what you're pushing a tier 2 turret in the top lane that all 5 members of the enemy team can arrive and kill you.
I mean, this is why we can see this is not the same team we saw 3 weeks ago, because you could never win the LCS if you played like this against just a Twisted Fate. And again, every single player is just sitting there only looking at his own little screen, Every player seems to only be focusing on his own play, and everyone wants to try and beat that guy who can carry because it doesn't work as a team. And it's simple things, right? Guys, they're roaming from mid to the bottom lane. Okay, let's keep pushing then. Oh, we died. What a surprise. Like these kind of things. It's not a professional team who would ever do that if they're playing at the top level.
All right, we've talked a lot about the game that we just saw, but let's now turn towards the game that we're about to see. The players have been given a little bit of time to run to the restroom, meet back up their coaches, and get ready for this game. So in doing so, what do we expect to see change here?
Well, I'm really fascinated by what's going to happen next, because this is a situation we almost never get with a remake game. And it's so difficult because it's a new pick ban, which means it's new pick ban prep. And the way that these coaches have had to prep for this tournament, I think, is actually incredibly grueling, because they have to prep for 2 different matchups every single day, and the days are fairly long, so they don't have that long to adapt. So there's no way they had 2 pick and ban plans to go against this other team. So they have to very quickly come up with a new strategy, reset their heads, and go into it like a fresh game.
I think most of the time you want to try and aim for somewhat the same composition you ran before, but then you also look at, okay, was there a pick we maybe didn't expect him to go for one more time? And I said it before, the Twisted Fate is the one. Fabulous is the man playing in the top lane. He hasn't picked Maokai in the past in this tournament when it was available. So I don't see a reason to ban it when he's the top laner. Just swap that with the TF, and I think you will have a much easier time because there's not that extra global.
Especially if you go into, I agree, you run a similar theme comp, right? So they obviously want a team fight right now against Supermassive. They think that they are the stronger team fighting team, and Twisted Fate is just going to frustrate the heck out of that team comp if played well. The problem is that I kind of agree, but at the same time, Naru has shown some shakiness on the pick and his decision making.
But this is just because G2 can't communicate.
Well, I think a lot of the decision will come down to whether or not you as the team thought you were going to win the game and how versatile the team you were. Because to me, coming into that, the team fight comp had stopped the snowball. And to me, I thought Supermassive, yes, the bug made them get caught, and that's why we're remaking the game. But they were starting to lose that game. So I think they should pivot strategies. I don't believe they would be allowed to sub someone in, which is kind of tricky for them, because I think they should be trying to team fight Flash G2. G2's making enough mistakes that they can get a lead before the team fight phase, and G2's not coordinated enough to split push their way out of it.
That being said, does the decision to take the remake indicate that Supermassive as a squad are confident that they can reestablish and play that early game as well as they have in the past, right? So they're not necessarily playing, they're not necessarily, taking the remake because, now we're on the back foot, we might be losing. They're saying, hey, look, let's reset, put ourselves on even footing because we think we can play out that early game exactly the same and create the same advantages, if not more.
I was going to say, I actually think that their 2v2 lane is we had them so close to completely smashing this lane. I mean, they're playing Ezreal Braum against a Janna lane, and Janna wins a lot of lanes naturally by herself, or at least with Sivir should be able to push, and they gave away a free kill. That was a kill that should never have been given away. Archu and Dumbledore will look back on that and being we should have crushed that lane after we got the early advantage, and I think that they'll look at least least bottom lane, as something that they can emulate similar successes going into a next game.
Now, one of the other picks I want to take a look at, the Elise was actually seemed to play well for Stomage, but in picks bans, it's very rare that we would see the red side team ban Nidalee and Graves, two of the 3 power junglers, only to hand over a Kindred as a first pick and opt into a lopsided matchup. So is that, if we're looking at a ban to drop Deficio in order to maybe get rid of a pick they weren't expecting, one that they would drop?
Yeah, I think they can actually remove all the jungle bans completely, because the reason they banned the 2, it seemed like they were putting a lot of value in getting like a Braum early to try and take that away from Hybrid, but he's obviously played Janna. He even played one Alistar game that was available in this one, but the reason he obviously went for Janna was because Supermassive is not good in lane swaps. So by picking Janna, you kind of still, you know it's going to be a 2v2 lane, and Janna is such a strong laner, so they're like, okay, we want strong 2v2 bot side, that's why they didn't go for Alistar. And I think now Supermassive will know that. So yeah, drop all the jungle bans, you can give them the Kindred, you don't have to early pick Braum against Hybrid at all.
Yeah.
And also think, a lot of us would value Echo above Poppy, which was the other one in the first rotation, but that's just up to the different top laners.
Yeah, I think you go teamfight bans or picks away. So even if you wanted to
take away Azir,
even if you wanted to keep those bans, you could just first pick the Echo and the Azir and take the stuff away from G2, because I think they can win the bottom lane with the matchup and go strong with the teamfights.
All right, well, the teams are back on stage and just about ready, so it's time now to throw it back to our casters to get us into the games.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. We are almost ready to get back into this matchup. G2 Esports versus Supermassive with a restart 22 minutes in, so we're going to get fresh picks and bans. Teams have had 5 minutes to go off stage, take some time with the coach, use the bathroom. They have been put into the lobby, so they don't have to worry about anything. They just have to get back in a champion select.
Yeah, and I must agree with what Jad said on the analyst desk. It's such a fascinating situation. Obviously, we don't want to be here. We don't want remakes, but when we do get them, we got to get an insight in how good the impromptu changes are for these coaches. You know, how much can they help their teams and change the pick and ban? Because yes, it's fine if you have maybe like an hour or 2 to go over the match, watch the replay, talk with all 5 players, but to do this in 5 minutes, and also speaking from experience, it will be incredibly impressive. So now we can actually see the value of the coaches really helping the teams, you know, pivot the pick and bans and maybe, you know, come out on top.
Well, we're very, very close to being in picks and bans. We saw a pick composition coming from Supermassive, the Fight Squad, the Azir coming from the side of G2, and the bot lane as well, the Sivir Janna, kind of winning the lane, making things happen, and it almost was towards that mid lane. Maybe G2 can find that stride again, because the early game has not been theirs, and they're not adapting well to that.
Yeah, regardless of the bug, G2 would have likely won that game at that point, because they, as the analyst mentioned as well, they stopped the bleeding, they stopped the snowball, and more importantly,
something we haven't seen in a while,
they locked in the enemy team at their turret, and if you lock them in, they can't 1-3-1. They can't be the ones dividing you and split pushing you using those teleports. They had backline protection with that Azir turret coming up, so they made it very hard for Supermassive to find any flanks, really play towards the strengths of their composition, and G2 was kind of slow with taking control of the map. But obviously, we never know, because we've seen plenty of throws in this tournament.
So it's a breather for both teams, especially for G2 here as well. Perkz in the mid lane, again, was getting focused over and over again by those lanes, and the TPs weren't really in his favor as well. He was the one walking around the map trying to make things happen, being the follower. So maybe this plays in G2's favor, but there's the same chance on the side for Supermassive, and we are back into picks
5
and bans.
seconds have passed, and we've already hit like 5 bans. This was tack, 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 Maokai out, Zed reaction, instant bar ban. Slight hesitation on the Nidalee, instant TF ban, and now Azir gets taken off.
This. Oh, wow.
And now
right
it's
through the batting order.
Kindred or Graves they're talking about, but what if we're fine with both? Do we then go for Echo, is what Kikis is saying right here. I can repeat.
The Echo is there. He played a very nice Echo last game. Still the moments of going too hard, but he was picking up kills, being a nuisance that Supermassive had to deal with.
And obviously, with the Janna reveal, they can fear Kindred just a little less, because they can knock people out of the ultimate. Obviously, a minor factor in. Kindred has risen to tier 1 in terms of jungle picks, but Trick was also making a lot of mistakes. I mean, that ultimate keeps you alive, but if you're stuck in the enemy jungle, there's some issues here.
Keeps them alive, too.
G2 going back to the roots here. They say, you know what, if we can trade picks of somewhat equal quality, we really want Hybrid on his comfort champ. On the Braum here, we have the Bard removed from Double Doge. That's his 2 best champions, in my opinion, taken away.
Yeah.
And obviously, Poppy support really isn't even good into a Braum matchup either, because he can just protect the AD carry once he gets bashed into a wall, put up the shield, deny the damage, and then counter.
Supermassive now deciding what they will take. G2 falling back to the season. Get that peel for hybrid. Help Emperor out. Allow Perks maybe to carry from Hole just right in the mid lane.
Yeah, if we go back to last draft, it'll be a Kindred Poppy here because Fabulous favored that over the Echo, despite many teams considering Echo stronger. And we also saw that matchup play out as it has the entire tournament. Early pressure, early push from Echo, and then it all comes down to the quality of the teleports to influence. Will they pick up their top laner or look for something else here?
They get Achu's Lucian. Locking out, and it'll be his 5th play now. Coming in on that champion, decided the Ezreal may have been the right one for the last game. Still fares very well on that, but it will be Lucian for the bot lane this time. May even have the Janna for themselves since that Braum has been picked up on the other side. Perks will take away the Poppy as well.
Yeah. This is where they could wait another rotation mid lane, because this is the rotation where G2 locked in a 0 last game because they wanted to rush it. Right now they want as much information to make Perks comfortable, and they can then lock in just a generic top lane pick combined with the matching jungler. We all knew Graves was going to come out, and they take the Poppy away from the enemy team. So, well, you value Poppy more? Well, we value Poppy more now. He just can play it too.
Is this where Perks can rise to the occasion? Is that a champion that he could put into the mix for these guys?
Rise LeBlanc matchup, it's tricky because it's very influenced by jungle, because whoever gets like CC'd, jungle can follow up, especially LeBlanc with chains, closing the gap, but Rise can always like sprint out, which is a whole heap of damage.
Echo is picked up. Fabulous, you said he would favor that, and it will be going towards the top side. The final 2 picks here for G2 in our first game of the day.
Supermassive sacrifice their counter pick on mid to go for a last pick support here. So they're basically, what they're telling here is, well, G2, you don't actually have a matching answer for this LeBlanc. Like, you have nothing. That's kind of the story they're telling here, because they could have easily locked in their support.
Until they play Morgana mid. No.
One man.
One man.
One win.
With a shield. So it's going to be that Rise locked into the mid lane. That was the blind pick LeBlanc, though. They wanted it. Maybe the Morgana comes in the bot lane. Who knows? That would be pretty funny, though. Well, Dumble Doge waiting to make his final pickup. It's still blinking. It's still blinking on the left side.
Yeah, we're still blinking. Leona's rough. It's really fun to play Leona into Rise, though, because he's very easy to target, but yeah, you melt. You melt so quickly these days in these team fights if you don't watch out. Very fun champion, though.
27 seconds on the clock. A final pick here for Supermassive as they remake a team to jump back into this game. We see now G2's squad still wants to fight pretty damn hard.
I mean, both teams here.
Yeah. Ooh. And it's going to be double teleport on both sides. That's like the Raka Laka.
It's actually really smart because this is something we've seen before over in the North American region. Soraka into Rise 2. You can put the silence field down when Rise walks up and tries to machine gun spell you down. You just silence him and suddenly he's lost. And then we have to factor in one more thing. The difference between playing this matchup at home and in the LCS studio or here in a crowd. It is much harder to tell whether you've been silenced when you're like up in the moment, because these players are very sound driven very often, so they hear the spells come out, they're mashing their keyboard, and suddenly the damage is not flowing.
It's not happening.
You react maybe a quarter of a second, half a second later to this. I feel, or I've had that happen to me in my career at least, to like silences, because silences aren't that visible of an effect. Like a stun, you're not even moving anymore. But when you're silenced, you're trying to hit the enemy opponent. So you need to see if Perkovic can reply in time when they step out of the silence zone.
Especially in an instance in these fights, you're always looking forward. You're not looking at yourself.
Yeah.
You're looking at where your abilities are going to be going. Unless you're a melee, unless you're a Zed, right? You're the guy.
Yeah, these guys probably look at everything, though. Maybe I was just a little boosted and could only look at one thing at the time. But it is very hard to play some of these things on stage as opposed to at home. You know, comfort matters, you know, like having a little bit of extra noise out there, just having to focus, the stress.
Yeah.
The weight on your shoulders, because G2, let's talk about this again, you know, they need to win this match if they have any hopes of finishing 4th place in this tournament, and if not, they definitely have to get to 5th place because they want to get as good of a seed for Europe in the World Championship as they can.
And this is where it needs to start. We said about it in the pregame. They need to mount those wins now onto that victory board. If not, it is only going to get harder from here on out. They do not have easy games to go on. Supermassive as well have a chance to pick this one up here. Been playing very well throughout the tournament. The story really Supermassive going and growing, and G2 has kind of been falling. G2 still owns the Rift as we head on to that. Let's do it. We're back into game, and we will see if G2 gets the aggression they want once again.
Naru with the
Gentleman's agreement. Slight damage.
That has been denied a few times in this tournament so far. G2 moving in here. Looks like they want a lane swap, and it would be wise for them because they kind of get out sustained in the bot lane against the Soraka because they won't be able to all in with Lucian, with Ezreal Braum, and more importantly, Poppy does lose against Echo in the top lane. So I think G2, in addition to being a better lane swapping team overall, is also swapping on the merit of the matchups. Also, it helps that Soraka's kind of useless in lane swaps. Like, just nobody to heal because nobody actually takes damage. And her roaming potential is walking up and silencing the mid laner.
And we actually saw what Avermu was playing it the other day. They were roaming early, didn't have silence, and it was still very, very hectic in the fights.
It gets a little bit of poke, but that's about it.
Yeah, interesting to see. You throw some stale bananas, maybe a +1 to damage, who knows. Seeing the keystones as we start off on both sides. Jungler's obviously getting a little bit of help here as we get that swap out. And exhaust for both bot lanes.
I like
Naru's going to have the ignite. I do enjoy exhaust in these days.
Yeah, it was maybe now that it's a very much so skirmish-oriented meta game. There is a merit to bringing ignite to the table, but in Europe, where everything was very slow, almost too slow, exhaust always just got you more benefit in those later fights.
Yeah. Well, one thing that I thought was very interesting was during the finals when Febvin kind of said about Perks, he's a very, very good player. Reminds me of myself in the beginning, but
a humble brag.
The team asked, yeah, right?
And if you're a really good caster, it kind of reminds me of myself.
But he doesn't have the team aspect yet. He kind of still plays in that vacuum, but the vacuum worked in EU because he controlled the entire game.
If you can vacuum like Perks could in the finals, you can get rid of a lot of dirty plays, but sadly this is not the Perks that we've seen this tournament.
Yeah.
All right, maps get divided into half. Let's see if it's the standard European lane swap. We saw a small change from Trick yesterday. He was suddenly at the wrong side of the map trying to gank Stomage when he was on Raptors yesterday.
Yeah.
Also trying to force the play again. It's something we see from these teams that are failing communication, even SKT in this tournament. A lot of people trying to be the hero. It's like, no, I'm going to carry this game. My team is a little bit unlucky, so now it's my time to shine. But it hasn't really worked. It's all about teamwork.
Makes the dream work. Don't say it for no reason. Shield goes on. Oh, just a few too many minions standing between Perks and Naru. The chain goes back. The flash, the ignite, the auto, and Naru gets it.
Mano a mano. Perks falls to Naru.
Put your dukes up.
This is the matchup coming into the tournament. People were talking about Perks versus Faker, Perks versus Maple, Maple versus Faker. Everyone's like, yeah, Naru, hope he doesn't feed. And he just completely outplays Perks in the 1v1. Ignite versus Teleport. What was Perks doing? Overchasing that already won trade.
There's the Ignite. Man,
he's
the
back
teleport back to lane. Obviously going to throw it down. Didn't even get to his tier, though. That actually hurts to come back on a Mana Crystal.
Exactly. Really bad base timing here.
He's going to do that now.
He's going to act as if it didn't happen. It's like, no, I'm still in lane.
Nobody sees me.
I poked LeBlanc out. I don't know why she has a blasting wand already.
Oh, that's painful. So Naru's going to look to completely just stomp on these waves as well as Perks every time he gets the chance.
Ooh, and it's interesting actually, because in the midst of all the action, we've missed the fact that these lanes have equaled out.
Right, as soon as that kill happened, it was turret drop, like literally instantly.
Yeah, turret drop, but no full-on lane switch. It looks like Supermassive is defending
I see what you're saying.
The push on the bottom, and Fabulous went into the top lane. Usually that puts your top laner behind because he has to walk into a frozen lane here.
Right.
And that's what happened. We see a really big
choice.
CS discrepancy here, but Kik is actually pushed out. So Kik has also made the mistake of really not freezing too much anymore. Now pushing into enemy territory. Fabulous is down 10 CS. Bot lane is even. We kind of missed that. Hope the analyst picks that up, sees what happened there.
Ooh, blasting wand damage. Trying to come out on top. Naru will have that knight up in a little bit, and I'm sure he's just going to probably use it to get Perks out of the lane. 4 to 5 there, so it's also going to be level 6 for Naru. Maybe pressure from Trick will be what is necessary now that these lanes are matched up. Kikis going to show some love to bot lane, but that is a tough gank.
No flash here. If he flashes with Steadfast Presence, he can deny Naru!
That's it, the lock-up, exactly! Played by the book.
Naru did not watch CLG versus SKT. He holds his distortion, waits to see what's happening, and Kikis with the ball flash. G2 communicated that the flash was down. Kikis translated his push advantage. He made the roam. He may have just saved the game for G2 with that roam here. Put Perks not only back even in the matchup, but kind of leveled out the mentality put him back in the scenes. Like, it's okay, you know, mistake happened. We got you. We got your back. Work as a team here. Really good roll from Kikis.
Everybody was going by the simple things. They've been trying to make too many complex things work. Going to play on a flash, things you need to do. Don't let that flash go away. It was something we actually heard Prolly say to his team going in. If somebody flashes, do not let that go away. It must be punished. Yep. And that's the way G2 finds a kill back into the game. Completely even across the statistics on the top. 6 minutes into the game here. We'll see how they can pan this one out. Back here from Perks as he continues to charge up, and another Doran's ring for Naru, so he doesn't die as quick next.
Yeah, no tier yet on Emperor, which means Achu is actually doing a great job blocking those Ezreal Qs because he has the ultimate sustain lane. He has a Doran's Cull Soraka lane. He can tank any damage he wants, as long as it doesn't get all in though.
Double Doge, 1-2 lock, exhaust and flash is there. Looks like he only has to use one summoner spell, and Achu seeing the whole time an opening to continue dealing DPS, which now allows Fat Fabulous. Do I teleport? Yes, you do, but they're walking right into Kikis as well. Stomage on the left side. Where do these guys come from? Out of the woodwork from Supermassive in the left side of the map. They take down Kikis. Another kill for Naru as he picks up something after just getting taken down in the mid lane.
Yeah, G2 thought they were in the clear, but suddenly left flank, enter stage left comes Naru, comes in swinging.
Where did they even come from?
Kika is completely caught off guard, and that's the danger of it, going aggressive on a Soraka lane with exhaust. When there's teleport wards available, instant reaction from Supermassive, and again, G2 forcing a play, kind of seemingly panicky, that they have punished so often in the past. They've punished all these plays with teleports. Supermassive do the same thing. Good punish, good teamwork, good shot calling. Oh, he dead. He's dead, all right.
So for a moment there, I think Trick wasn't seeing Fat Fabulous, but he still got the kill. However, dies himself there in a bit of chaos.
He denies Dragon.
He did deny Dragon.
Like the ultimate tilt. Right before he would leave the game, he would flash use his ulti and get out there. But Trick actually saw the opportunity. He saw how low Supermassive was going on that Dragon.
Ooh.
They didn't bring Fat Fabulous over to help DPS. And Dumbledore just gets straight up sniped.
Wasn't expecting that.
Look how low they're getting. So he's transferring health, so Dumbledore, he can't kill himself with the healing, but Trick just flashes in for the ulti. That has to feel good. So these are two instances.
You're trying Dragon, we'll take collateral.
Where G2 Esports kind of has like these feel-good kills. The roam from Kikis.
That's true.
That play right here, these are confidence boosters. They lost a little bit at the bottom, but let's forget about that. So hopefully they're fixing some of these confidence issues.
The teleports are well coming up for Perks in his favor. He could be able to work around the map here now that we see Supermassive pushing towards his bot side, and maybe something they can utilize. No wards behind Supermassive, though.
Yeah, the good thing, though, is it will not affect Double Doge at all. He is very resilient when it comes to... He trained in the...
I'm still waiting for the Raka initiation this game.
Nah, he trained in the depths of European solo queue. So he's basically telling him, you merely adopted the tilt, G2 Esports. I was born in it, molded by it. It's a very interesting fella to lane against.
Is that the word you use?
Interesting. That's the one I use on broadcast. No, I can't hit a single skill shot on that guy because I can't predict how he dodges. It's quite annoying.
He has kind of no persistent way of doing something. You can't find that.
Entropy.
It's just that good. Guy killed Faker. What do you expect?
Oh, Trick.
All right.
Rep buff.
There's the word in the brush. Stomach over the wall. That's the ult. The Dragon's going to be on him as well. Perks trying to come down with the ultimate on Flash. He's dead. That Perks getting the kill. And now G2 starts to take a step back into this game. They're still down 300 gold, but where's the motion after the kill? We haven't seen that too much from these teams. It's usually the kill, back to farming. When are they going to get that extra?
Stomach walks in, gives a gift here. Duel in the top lane.
Toe-to-toe, stun for stun, fun for fun. Mana is very low on both sides. The damage here obviously in Fab Fab's favor, but he can't get that catch onto Kikis as he chooses to hug the wall on his way out. 10 minutes into this one, and we're getting fights everywhere.
Yeah, feisty. Both these teams really looking for the win here. Stomach walks to enemy jungle, gives a gift here. Good sidestep from Perks. We have to call out that mistake, though. The blind invade without backup from support or mid laner is a very bold move to do. Yes, you have the Kindred ulti to buy time, but the immediate reaction as well. G2 is starting to finally start playing together because Perks moved at the start of that duel. He didn't wait for it to play out and then have the reaction. He moved immediately and found himself a free kill. He did use his flash here, so Stomach and Naru may look to punish that.
Ping's going towards the top side. Trick actually went over the wall. If he got pinched there, he's in a 3v1, 4v1.
There's no ulti on Stomach. Red buff goes off.
TP coming up. They know that ult's down from last time. Stomage just got up, just goes back down, and Fabulous will follow him back to the fountain in the fastest way possible through the CC of death. They're going to be heading towards that top lane.
Suddenly, the chaos is turning into G2's favors. They're the first one to make the play, but this time it did calculated plays, it seems. Yeah. Trick not just chasing the kill, he knew about the ulti being down. No flash available either. So Stomach trying to help his teammates, but he pays the price.
Able to make these moves. The Perks TP getting into the lane faster. We're not seeing that again from Supermassive side. It was almost a 3 teleport. It was the TF TP and the top lane TP for Supermassive last game. That looks like it stings pretty good. Achu, the flash is there in the heal as well, but he says, I'll take that pressure. That's good enough.
Yeah, it's good enough, because otherwise you trade summoners equal. Yeah. Right now you just trade lane dominance. You have to respect your opponent that he will flash when you flash.
Yep.
Or at least press heal.
That's true. And if you don't have the timer, that's when you start losing out on the big things.
Yeah.
You don't just flash for nothing. It looks like everybody's keeping those timers on lock. Dumbledore, if he's the one to do it.
Public service announcement by Riverton Bislett III. Time your summoners.
Know your timers.
Do you time summoners in solo queue?
I absolutely do. And at my level, people are like, wow, thank you.
What are these numbers? What do they mean?
Yes. Looking at 1,700 gold. Math is easy here for G2. They will start to take that lead. Remember the first time these guys matched up at 17 minutes, G2 had a 2K gold lead. They were able to kind of stretch that a little bit. So they're still working at the same pace or clip as that game. Bot lane pressure towards this on Emperor. He goes a little too far forward, but it was the bait in for Trick. It was the bait in for the rest of the team, and it looks like Supermassive is playing reactive here. Will it be enough? Stomage goes down. They tank the turret and trade aggro between each other perfectly, and it's going to be the flash hit for Dumbledore. That's going to be the lockdown. Concussive blows into that Winter's Bite, and man, 8-3 now, 13 minutes in. G2 is not stopping the pressure.
And it looks like these teams have swapped places. It's the grouped up teleport initiated action from G2 Esport, and Supermassive looking for the desperate cross map. All the games we've seen so far, it was different here. Actually going in, but no backup from Stomach, no ulti to keep him alive. He's stuck under the tower, but it's a 5-man party, it feels like, here from G2 Esports, with the teleport from Kikis coming in just now. And then he realizes that he has to flash there to connect the Poppy ulti. Really like seeing Poppy players use it as a combo tool rather than just a disengage tool. One of the first pure players that we saw is actually in this tournament, Looper. He kind of started playing Poppy very early, and he used that ulti very well as a combo tool. Walk up, knock him up, reposition, and then knock people into the wall. Kikis does the same thing, more or less. 3 kills here for G2. And honestly, nothing gained on the other side of the map other than some turret damage.
Almost the same game here. Parties to the bot lane one time after the other. We've seen aggression from both of these bot lanes, and it's the activation of teleports from one or the other that really starts the fight. Obviously this time in this game, G2 has the upper hand on those teleports. Now pushing towards the mid lane, the last turret they have to open up the map before second tier.
Yeah, and it's even worse when you look at the gold lead. It's 3,000 gold advantage here for G2.
Yeah, that jumped a little.
But there's a lot of gold sitting on Naru too. It's very disproportionate, so if you take him out of the equation, which G2 is looking to do,
he takes the distortion back to the front of the turret. He almost tries to kill. Oh, Perks does go down. The ignite hit, and that last auto attack was what Naru needed, going down valiantly, trying to do the max amount of damage he could.
Dies right before Soraka ulti is available. Would have led into another Soraka heal too.
That's true.
So very close here. Another reaction coming out here from Supermassive.
Fabulous pretty safe within his parallel convergence. Nice. Blocked by Achu's calling, and they're going to be getting out of this one. I figured somebody's going to flash forward, but I saw the mana on the rest of the players of Supermassive. Faked myself out.
Yeah, Supermassive need to play with Naru in the equation, because if you take him out, their gold lead is even bigger for G2. He's the one in the lead. He's the one man that can kind of change the pace of the game here with a good pick here that leads into maybe a good team fight.
Be careful. Kick is taking damage really for no reason here. He's gonna get hit up pretty hard. He's just saying, I'm strong enough to do this. It looks like it gives Emperor time to hang out in lane as well. Bot lane's going to be farmed up here by Perks. They start to set up their slow build-up. They've been getting the fights they want, though.
He was so busy showing that he could, and he never really wondered whether he should. It's like, yeah, I can do this. I can knock you up. No goal, no purpose.
Oh. Naru's going to head over the Dragon Wall to get himself cleanly out of this.
Perks rotating, though.
Yep, Perks is coming up quite quick. It looks like it'll just be another distortion off the ultimate of Naru to get himself to safety. Snow Mage, hard farming here as you see him smiting out the jungle. He just got his own red, as Trick did, so looks like that says Supermassive is taking a chill pill right now as they clean up their lanes as well. Ooh. Good pressure by G2, though. They're not letting this happen without a fight.
Yeah, this remake has been really great for Trick. Complete opposite play in this game. 4-1-4 here. It's been a long time, maybe the first game even of this tournament where he has this good of a performance, because he died something like 29 times now in total, calculating the remake.
And last game, the first of the day is, I'm not going to do this. I did it again. And here you have the chance to say, all right, I'm definitely not doing it again. And he's been safe in his engages, not too far, as you were saying. And 4-1-4 is definitely going to start putting some damage on these turrets as well once he gets up close.
Yeah, and the only death here, you see a duel in the mid lane, was that like hero steal or on the dragon, the hero snipe on double dodge. Berg's flashing in.
Woo! There's that flash for flash trade, but now the respect being given to G2. Supermassive going to start closing on the mid lane. If they can keep Kicka's top, they have a bit of pressure, but it looks like he's heading back.
Yeah. Supermassive group, but very low on resources, so if it comes to a fight, they may actually get the short end of the stick here. They're peeling Naru away from the bot lane because they need him in mid lane to buy time. But again, G2 in complete control of the pacing here, just like the later stages of the first time this match was played today.
Interesting that could have a little bit more pressure. I mean, Kickus just went back to buy a Mana Crystal, and then he kind of just going to walk back up the lane here. It seems like they're being very safe with their choices. They realize going too far, Supermassive will be able to take that and just run with the lead as they do. Here we are seeing, though, I said before, Supermassive doesn't do too well when they're forced to play reactively. Without that lead, they're always kind of trying to find a way back in. They don't always have a solid one.
Yeah, for sure. If you look at the scaling, too, on G2, they have the means to play a late game fight as well in the late game. Very strong.
Yep.
Ryze is still up there. Super strong mid laner in the late game, so they can buy their time. They can group together.
So there is a 3,000 gold lead for G2. Looking at Supermassive, what is there in? Where do they find that here?
They need to get Naru on the side lane, have him have pressure, and then flank, or find somebody isolated and one-shot them, because he still has the ability to take out a lot of these G2 players. But in group fights, they lose so much resources trying to stay even. Like, look at the poke that Achu is taking here. Yes, the Dumble Dodge will heal him up, but then Dumble Dodge takes damage too. And they're kind of falling apart here, with Stomach not here to help, and looking to assassinate Perks, who's not looking to make the same mistake again. G2 is kind of playing the composition very well.
Oh, enough pressure to get the turret. That's all they need. But actually, nobody's there real just yet. The turret, or minion wave rather, was just a few clicks off. And they should be able to get it now. A nice unbreakable means the turret goes down, but is that what they want for an engage? That Fabulous is itching.
And this was a good example of a well-played, well-executed 1-3-1. In each lane, adding pressure, chipping away in stronger individual matchups in the 3v3 in the mid lane. G2 won, especially because it wasn't even 3v3, because Snow Mage was desperately looking for a pick, and that's why it doesn't generally work against 1-3-1 compositions. They move up the lines all at once, then they collapse, pincer, and look for a fight.
It's really a trust composition. You got to trust that everybody's going to do the right thing. Now putting all 5 members towards the bot lane here. The lane's actually in a very good position to be doing this. Naru tries to get in. The chain's only clearing minions. And the turret is just one hit off, unfortunately. Staying for one more wave here is actually quite dangerous.
Yeah, look at the flank that Fabulous is looking for. But also look at the positioning. They're looking to keep him out of the fight.
Call. They said, we're going to get this, we have to, and then we come back as a team. Now Fabulous can't do anything, and they almost have to yo-yo back with. Fab's just going to run out. They know he's safe. And great lane pressure here by G2. They go and clear and can push.
Yeah, and with a proper start to the 1-3-1, that 3,000 gold lead turned into a 5,000 gold lead plus Dragon here.
Yep.
They sent each and every member in their lanes, pushed them up. Kikis join in mid to add some pressure to the tower. That objective was now isolated, which means slim pickings. Then they go back, isolate the jungle, ward it up, protect their flank. They have to yield mid lane here, but that's fine for a 2-turret trade overall. It was already very low. They now also have the momentum. They just based some of these members on the side of Supermassive, maybe have to base later. And G2 can start building towards the next objective, and that will likely be deep red vision, and then see if they can ping the Baron. Look at it. There's already assist pings on the Baron, which means help me, guys. Not like, let's just walk in there and see what happens. No, they're actually working together as a team. Hopefully not facing too much.
Keep an eye on me while I ward, please.
Hey,
I may need somebody to jump to.
It's the most important thing. Or like when you ask them for help when you're sweeping, like, nah, you got this on your own. You only have like negative attack speed. Oh, Emperor. That's not what he was looking for.
Ouch. Wow, that was a level 12 Naru coming in on Emperor. So he definitely has the second level of his ultimate at 11, but that was instantly popping.
Naru did not expect that either. He was just basing, he was window shopping, but unlike Perks yesterday, he was ready for this.
Perks trying to go for Stone Aged. That ultimate is up. They have to have that call. He's going very low here. He's only going to have the help of Hybrid, and he may just pull Hybrid in to his own death as well with that escape route. Perks is going to be going towards the top side, the TP in. Bot side's going to fight as well, so they may actually have numbers here. 3v3, but the health bars are not in their favor. Achu's going forward. He's got a 50 CS lead, so he definitely has an item lead here over the 80 carry in the game. But the true shot barrage is going to make them think twice. Trick is going in a 2v1 now for the last. Oh, it's a 1v1. Mimic got me. But it's still great. Trick comes out on top.
Trick comes out on top, but he was probably a 2v1 at the start because the was a 2v2 probably.
That fabulous.
Because both teleports got cancelled here. That's what happened here. We saw Kikis wanted to TP in, suddenly that disappeared. Then Fabulous was TPing in as well. Or he was the one that got stopped earlier. Regardless what happened, both teleports got cancelled here somehow in a fight. We need to rewatch what chaos ensued in the bottom lane here. Madness.
Absolute madness. Actually seeing the AD carry CS there, the map was opened up so quick with those turrets going down in the mid lane gank that Achu's been cleaning up CS this whole time while Emperor's been helping to push lanes, and he's fallen behind so far in items now. And with Naru being able to do that, it's not what you want to see for the side of G2. Gold lead still at 4 though. 4,000 in the lead, I should say, for G2, and they're still looking for ways to keep that lead.
It's the comeback mechanic for Supermassive. Make picks with Naru, reset, and then go for another pick here. Perks, it's going to be hard to kill him low. But with the help of 2 players, he can obviously die. He's burned his flash, and that's good. That means right now when he gets silenced in teamfights, he cannot flash out.
It's amazing me how Supermassive is always just off the side of the screen with one more member when they're getting these little picks. They're always within kind of arm's reach, if you will, as they make their way around the map. This buddy system is really helping to create a wall. Perks is in, home guard's up, 23 minutes in. They're on to Naru, the chase that they want. He throws up the shield as well to get a bit of movement speed and stay with those concussive blows. Will they finish this off? Stand beside me, and they will be able to get the lockdown, but they're chasing the wrong one. That's the kill coming up for the collateral damage on Trick. 6-1-4 now for the MVP of the spring split in EU.
Yeah, combined team effort to take Naru down there. Supermassive getting poked out, double those midges. Yeah, you have to flash.
G2 is playing with the aggression of many people expected to see coming into this tournament. Now they're on a Stone Mage under the turret. Lamb's Respite is only going to help G2 take this turret down along with Stone Mage, and Naru is still waiting.
Yeah, Naru is waiting, and Achu was on the top lane. Look at where he's pathing, and he's just entering his base just now. Kik is buying time. Double Doge is dead. It's all falling apart here, crumbling down.
Inhibitor turret going down now. Very well played in the 1-3-1 by G2 here in the mid game. A little bit of a catch of nice piercing light by Achu across the board there to do some big damage, but the 1-for-1 trade still leaves it 3-for-1.
Yeah, G2, 7,000, over 7,000 gold lead here. Looking to at least get that 5th place in lockdown. That's what they're playing for right now. They want to obviously move up to top 4. Let's reiterate for people that didn't get it quite just the first time.
How the pools work.
We're playing for seeding at Worlds, but it's not only about the top 4 seeding right now, because if you don't make that, you obviously get seeded in what we call Pool B and Pool C. If G2 end up last, they actually make it so that 2 European teams end up in that Pool C. But if they get the 5th place at least, we move 2 teams to Pool B, 1 in Pool C. And if we get lucky and G2 fight their way back into the top 4, we have 1 in Pool A, 1 in Pool B, 1 in Pool C. We being obviously Europe. That's what we like. We hope that one of our teams can bypass some of the harder groups.
And to reiterate, that's a chance for G2 to lose a spot for Europe in that sense. This is here for Supermassive to take one if they get that 5th place spot.
Yeah, they can get a 5th place spot here, advance at least one of the IWC teams up to Pool B. And Supermassive, if they somehow come back in this game and make it top 4, they guarantee a team from Turkey going to the World Championship. Naru looks to do that with big poke on Emperor. Is ignited.
Oh boy. That'll make you squeeze. The Ignite does not take him down. Emperor's good to go. He'll be back 3-1-4, so he actually is putting out quite a bit of damage for the team here. He continues to build up. The Miramana is all finished up with the Iceborne, so he will actually allow Perks and the rest of the team to continue these engages. More Winter's Bites from Hybrid. And going back to kind of the basics for G2 seems to be their gold here.
Yeah, their trick. Hello? First, the basics.
First pick that Braum. Yeah, no basics here.
That's 1v4.
Get a little ahead of themselves.
Aggression.
There's blank pages I'm looking right now. These are blank in the book.
It's the wrong book.
Whoa, Hybrid over the wall. The shield going to the left side, so he's taking damage to the back. And Fat Fabulous is on to Trick. These guys are all now focusing their own fights, but did Fat Fabulous get himself in trouble? That's the vacuum he's trying to fight, and we've been talking about oh so much throughout this tournament. And the passive speed may have just saved his skin enough. Time Winder to the back, no chase potential really coming out here unless the Winter's Bite connects. Perks, good heavy, no ultimates coming up soon for him, so coast to coast fight from top lane to mid lane.
Yeah, Trick definitely playing in a vacuum there. Almost got cleaned up though. Keek is now engaging. Naru holding his distortion very wisely so.
Learned quick.
But yeah, the point of aggression was all centered deep enemy red jungle for G2, and Supermassive at all costs want to defend that because that is step one towards securing Baron vision. You want deep vision, push up your lanes, then deny vision around Baron, and that's when you can bait. Either you do the Baron very quickly at like 30 minutes in the game, or you just force the face check from Supermassive. With the introduction of blue trinkets, that entire ordeal is a little harder because you need to repeat that process for every blue trinket. It looks like we may just find our way out because we're in China.
That's the Perks everybody's used to seeing. Going straight in. Kikis with the engage on a double doge. He throws the Equinox back, trying to silence out. You see the culling coming across. Kikis holding on for dear life with a sliver of health here as they make their way onto the second inhibitor turret. Slowly, Hybrid makes his way in now. Kikis just behind still as added pressure with Emperor. And they are eyes on the prize. G2 trying to catapult themselves ahead in that score here at MSI Shanghai. And it looks like they will have to wait a little bit longer. They're really playing with danger right now as they make their way into the base. 28 minutes in, and with home guards back and forth, they have to be careful of Supermassive's Fat Fabulous and Naru.
Yeah, 7,000 gold lead on the spot here. 2 inhibitors down. Facing right now, spending a lot of that hard-earned gold. Let's see.
Look at the items in general, just of Trick to Stone Mage. Oh.
G2 strength in numbers. And again, this fight leads to nothing here. This is absolutely useless for G2, and it can only cost them the game here.
It's 2v3-4, but they're walking in one by one, allowing the champions to do the damage necessary. Emperor will go down here. I don't know if G2 actually wants to fight this. You see Trick kind of hovering down. He may put himself in a bad spot, but
it was a nice display of strength, but to what goal? What purpose?
And a nice display of greed.
Yeah, very nice display of greed. Like, what are they hoping to achieve here? G2 not synchronized in their bases.
Yeah.
Lose a lot of tempo. They could have all 5 been out of their base, setting up the Baron vision with pinks right now, but they elected not to do it. But because Supermassive is still struggling with this double inhibitor deficit, they lose control of the Baron here. G2 has started it, going at a mild pace. It does look like Supermassive is too far off to challenge it, and they yield.
Going to be difficult, but the right decision due to the placement on the map here. 30 minutes in. G2 looking at just about a 10,000 gold lead here with what may come off of this. 2 dragons in their favor really hasn't been the objective. It's been kills to turrets. They really don't want to mess with chances for Supermassive Turkey to get back in this game. Given that dragon situation, may just be a way for Naru to get himself in, get those flanks, find the wards that they need. Right now, those wards are pretty much staying on the side of Supermassives. You can see they have a security system littered up, but they would probably want a few of those a little bit deeper. G2 going to work on that vision right now. And looks like they're going to go to work on top turret as well. Push up now from Emperor in the mid lane. G2's ready to get back inside the base.
Yeah, back inside the base, hopefully not thinking too much about the rest of the tournament here. With this win, G2 would equalize the wins with SKT. Obviously, SKT have one more game to play where they can equalize it out, but they keep losing, and G2 will be tied. That's what they need right now. They need this victory right here. The first step is obviously this inhibitor in the top lane.
Slow movement, watching Naru, watching those assassins, keeping an eye on Achu. Wow, there's Dumbledore, wasn't even looking and I blinked, he is down. Naru's gonna get some hits now. Trick getting himself out, Lamb actually turns around before attacking him. Trick stays alive with Lifeline and Life Grip from his mom Mortius. And now they're in on the base, Stomaged up against the Nexus, and he's gonna be pinned to death against home plate. And now G2's looking for it.
Yeah, one Nexus tower drop, the second one is falling. G2 Esports looking to bounce back here.
Nexus turret's going down. The Nexus is now open. 50 gold up for grabs. It's falling quick. It's falling fast. 31 minutes in, and G2 put another W in the win column over Turkey Supermassive. Very much needed win.
Yeah.
And a smile.
Nah, that face says it all.
We haven't really seen it lately.
I guess I'm happy, says Perks.
I guess.
Disappointed. Smile. At least a little genuine smiles are coming out between Perks and Hybrid. Emperor leading the way on the handshakes. This was a much needed win.
Yeah.
It took him 2 games, including the remake. Supermassive, I think they made the right choice going for the remake. When you look at the information at hand, they were likely losing that first game.
Agreed.
And now they lost the second game convincingly, so we can say that G2 deserved this victory.
And now their day only gets harder as they move on. The tournament only gets harder as they move on, and not much time to make quick work of their errors. Fix those up, right the wrongs, and come out strong as they did here in the second match against Supermassive. Owning the Rift, support behind him of the European fans. It's been back and forth, but as you said, Crepo, you have to sweep the excuses under the rug. You have to look forward, and you have to get the wins ahead.
Yeah, let's just look at the play here. We saw some improvement, but we see the medicine is working. The symptoms are still there to a lesser degree.
It's a slight cough.
They're already, yeah. They're no longer on the deathbed, against this team at least, but yeah, they're still greeting a little bit. They're still making these over-eager plays, especially when they get a head trick. Was 1v4ing at one point in the bottom side of the map. Perks and I believe it was Emperor were trying to duke it out. I know, 1v5. But overall, strong team fighting composition.